but I didn't have the same, they didn't fight me on almost anything. I mean, my
Except for the guns, right?
How's the elections?
Well, that-
Are they getting a lot of people?
Today was
I didn't
busy, but I
lose
think
my
the
gun.
weather
They
tomorrow,
tell me
everybody
that
kinda
if I
came in
would've,
today.
That's where I would.
But it's been,
I checked
today
my
was
policy, yeah.
busier today than it was the other 2 days, but it was steady yesterday.
Yeah,
Is that WISN?
Almost-
telling
almost
people,
every
go, go,
policy.
go, 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 go.
Yeah.
yeah.
Two guns, no ammunition,
You have to have a rider.
Caliber,
It
whatever.
barely replaces
Yep.
the
Serial
safety
number.
these days.
Yeah, one-
Yep, if you don't have that rider,
And Jane has that for jewelry too.
most policies only cover, it's like,
Yeah.
like you said, like $2,500.
Golf clubs too, was another thing I'm supposed to list, that I didn't know I'm supposed to list, like,
Yeah.
so I might be shopping by you guys soon.
Cause they throw my set in your garage, yeah.
They feed me out on my golf clubs, and I clean mine up and they still work. You know, like, but
Yeah.
my bag stinks, like a fire. And I just don't golf enough to
You
care.
guys ready? 6 o'clock. I am going to call the Village of Vernon, Village Board and Plan Commission to order for a joint meeting. Today is Thursday, March 21st at 6 p.m. We're at the Vernon Village Hall. Would you please rise for the pledge of allegiance to the flag and name the silence? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Craig, would you please do the roll call and open the meeting compliance?
President Chu,
I'm here.
Trustee Slaney,
Here.
Trustee Finch,
Here.
Commissioner Noack,
Here.
Trustee Newman, Trustee Millies,
Here.
Commissioner Rinaldi,
Here.
Commissioner Alex.
Here.
This meeting was noticed and posted according to law.
And no further, because we have a full Vernon Board and Plan Commission. I'm going to read the public notice. Notice is hereby given that the joint public meeting by the Village of Vernon Board and Plan Commission will be held on Thursday, March 21st, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Vernon Village Hall located W249 South 8910 Center Drive to consider amendment to the Village of Vernon Smart Growth Plan. The proposed amendment will change the land use map and a component, which is a component of Village of Vernon Smart Growth Comprehensive Plan for the property located South 92 West 7720 Edgewood Avenue. It has a Moguanago mailing, but the property is located in the Village of Vernon. Tax key number VNT 2091999-009, VNT 2091991-991-003, minus the territory that was detached to the Village of Moguanago, which was 1.67 acres, and the addition of the portion of the land from the Village of Moguanago that was added to the Village of Vernon is 2.89 acres, for a total of 34.69 acres. The land use map will be changed from recreational land use category to the low-density residential 20,000 square feet to 1.9 acres land use category. So I'm going to open the public hearing, and what's going to happen, obviously we don't have a lot of public here, but I'll give a brief overview. I'll ask the public, Riley, just in case you wanted to chime in. Then we'll go to I know the Plan Commission's already made their resolution, but we'll take questions from the Board or Plan Commission. And then if there's no more comments, then I'll close the public hearing. So for the record, I just wanted to state that in Sean Malarkey, our zoning administrator and planning administrator, did his staff review on February 14th. And he states that the petitioner was previously here before the Plan Commission and the Village Board on multiple occasions beginning in 2021 to discuss the conceptual development of the subject property that straddles the villages of Vernon and Moguanago near Edgewood Avenue and National Avenue. The Plan Commission did adopt a resolution, a unanimous resolution to the Village Board on March 14th, recommending the Village Board adopt an ordinance to change the land use map and zoning to the category that's indicated on the public hearing. So what I'll do, right now is ask if there's any questions from the public. Right, you got any questions? Plan Commissioner Board, comments? I know you've seen this many times, but any questions or comments?
An extra 1.67 acres for Officer Riley to cover now.
Well, really, it's, we got the two.
We get 2 points.
Yeah, we got the 2 point. The
gave away
6.7 went to Vernon and we got.
Swap that.
Yeah. Right, and as everybody, well, I know the commission board know this, but just for the public, this is the old Craig Hine, I think it was a par 6, it was a little teeny, a small golf course.
Dragon range.
Right, Danny, I don't think you were around when this was approved, it was 100 years ago, it was a long time ago. But the petitioner, this would, the person that petitioned for this is obviously Newman Development, but if for some reason, you know that they haven't brought preliminary, that hasn't been done so far, but this is just changing the land use category. So if for some reason that particular development falls through, I just wanted the board to know that if the board concurs with the Plan Commission, this amendment would stand for anybody wanting to do something on that property, just so the board understands. Any comments from the public? Comments for the board? Well, this is the fastest public hearing we've ever had. I'm going to close the public hearing. And just for a discussion's sake, I'd make a motion to accept the resolution from the Village of Vernon Plan Commission to approve.
Ordinance. Resolution.
To approve the ordinance 2020-2407, an ordinance to amend the comprehensive master plan at the request of Brian Lindgren of Newman Development for the property owned by Craig Hine, located at South 92, West 27720, Edgewood Avenue, Mukwonago, Wisconsin, identified by VNT number 2091999-009, VNT 2091999-991-002, and minus the property that went to the Village of Mukwonago, which is 1.67 acres, with the addition of the 2.89 acres that came to the Village of Vernon for a total of 34.69 acres. The land use map will be changed from residential land use category to a low density residential, and the zoning category is at 20,000 square feet to 1.49 acres. The land use category was subject to a previous public hearing, which we just had. Is there a second to my motion? Is that a second?
Yeah, I'll give a second.
Trustee Finch for discussion.
You said VTN 2091991-002, I think. It's 00.
I'll just repeat them. 2091999-009, VNT number 2091991-003.
Oh,
And plus the two additional parcels, the 1.67 acres of Vernon that went to Mukwonago, and the 2.89 acres that of Mukwonago that went to Vernon, for a total acreage of 34.69 acres.
I second that.
Okay. That's what
Is this a recommendation from Plan Commission and Village Board?
Plan Commission made their recommendation in
Okay.
February. So now the Village Board, they did it by resolution, and ours is by ordinance, and Brad had that in your packet, the board's ordinance. The Plan Commission does it by resolution, but the board does it by ordinance.
And by law, we had to wait 30 days for the board to take up the ordinance.
Further questions? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Oh, see, so there's one nay, and we, all three of us, and did you, so that's
Yeah.
Okay. Jim, I knew that was coming, but, and Plan Commission, the Plan Commission obviously has to be here, just in case people would have had questions from your resolution recommending to the Village Board. So at that, I would entertain a motion for the Plan Commission to adjourn.
I so move.
Dan, Commissioner Nowak, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Rinaldi. Discussion from the Plan Commission? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. You have a good evening. So, do you want me to sign this, or?
And you gotta adjourn village board and then, because they're
Should we open it again? Okay, I'd make a motion to adjourn the Village Board from the joint meeting. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
Discussion? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried, village board is adjourned, and now we're gonna meet in 2 seconds. Did you want me to sign this, Brad?
I gotta send it to John just to review.
Oh, that's right, oh, shoot. Well, we have a standing memo, that, yeah, because I should have added that. Board members and, just so you know, we have that standing memo, I didn't put it in my motion, but our memo says all ordinances for the,
Well, yeah, we read it last the other day.
Yep. Well, gentlemen, would you like to rise for another pledge of allegiance to the flag and?
Why not?
In a brief moment.
These are a very short list of.
Thank you,
companies
Plan
that
Commission members.
Locally that can handle a project of this size.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen, we had a, I don't mean. Fred, could you do the roll call for the, village board and open meeting compliance, and I'm here.
Yeah, President Schu's here, Trustee Swanee,
Here.
Trustee Finch.
Here.
Trustee Newman.
Here.
Trustee, Millies.
Here.
Meeting was noticed and posted according to law.
Okay, gentlemen, is there any objection to, do a deviation from the agenda to hear Riley Schmidt's report? Is there there's no objection? Riley, do you have any announcements or any news, or the board, just so you know, the lieutenant, sent the monthly report to the board, so they have that. But I just wanted to see if there's anything you needed to report on it. If you don't, that's fine, but.
No, I really don't have anything. I guess if you guys saw the report, for like the monthly stats, and if you have any questions on that, I don't have anything to add.
Well, then you can go back to work, Riley.
Beautiful.
Thank you,
Have a
stay
good night.
safe, stay safe.
I will.
All right, gentlemen, I have, Brett's here also for the next couple agenda items. For the first thing on the agenda is to, the approval of the award for the 2020-24 road improvement, bids, and authorizing the village president to sign the contract for the 2020-24 road program improvement. I'm gonna turn it over to Brett and Brad, and you did see that, our engineer also had a letter in the packet, but I don't know, gentlemen, who wants to go first, but I'll turn it over to you guys.
I'll let Brett start.
Based on where budget was, we had 2 small dead ends to go out to bid, which you guys all approved. Wolf won the bid, as you guys saw in the packet from Andy. I'd love to do both. However, if you approve both, it's gonna limit us on budget a little bit as far as raising shoulders and stuff like that this year and tarring. If you do one of them, I would recommend the alternate bid, which I believe is Johnson. Johnson is the worst of the 2 roads by far. Johnson is, I mean, it's pretty much turning to gravel. There's no way to salvage it at this point. So that's really your guys' choice. Either way will make the year work. But yeah, it's really up to you guys how you guys want to go about. If you want to have both of them paved, we can do that, but we're going to be tight then on other things throughout the year as far as raising shoulders and stuff. If you approve just one, like I said, I would approve just the Johnson Avenue, and then that would give us the ability to buy more stone, raise more shoulders, try to maintain what we have going currently in the village to the best of our ability.
But you recommend doing both?
It doesn't matter what, it's kind of, if you do both, obviously it's a good thing they're both bad roads.
And close to each other.
And close to each other.
Fine.
However, like I said, you're gonna limit the amount of stone and the amount of tarring and the amount, just those materials, for us to purchase those materials for road improvements also. We're gonna run tight with what we are still gonna owe on center and everything like that, and where budget is. And that's just the reality of where the budget is right now.
How much would we be cutting into the tarring and gravel?
So if we recall from the budget, we budgeted $165,000, I believe, for roads this year. The total cost with that money is basically coming from the remainder of the ARPA funds that we had allocated, and we initially had $815,000, we allocated $650 and 23 to roads, and then the remainder, 165, was to fall over to 24. The total cost that we're looking at for preliminary engineering for the bridge is about $65,000. With the estimates coming in at $85,000, that leaves about $15,000 for that additional work. There's money. There's another $20,000 in right-of-way repair that we've in the past was used to purchase stone and other stuff too. So there's money. There is some funds for it. I think the additional consideration is with how the winter's gone so far. Talking with Brett, knock on wood, if as long as we don't see 3 or 4 more storms between now and middle of May, we should be able to get by with purchasing 1,000 tons of salt instead of the 1,200 that we budgeted for. So that would free up roughly about another $15,000 in his budget to put towards it. So that leaves about $30,000 in the remaining. We do have additional work on center that needs to be done in terms of engineering for the section that is not involved in the bridge. I think Andy said there's about $30,000 left there if we go with what we have, but that discussion is to be had as to how much more work we want to do on that, or how in depth we want to get, because that's based on taking 20 to 24 inches of material out and putting that much more base in.
Downside to only doing one of the alternates, is we're gonna have to pay for it the next year then.
It will
I
keep
mean, it's
going.
gotta be done, right? I mean,
And
both those roads are.
Mobilization cost is a huge factor when it comes to.
And they're right next to each
Right.
other.
Right. That's kind of where I'm thinking too. I just want to make sure that we're still able to get some.
We will be able to.
Okay.
It's just an awareness factor that
It might be tight.
we might run tight. But like Brad said, with the salt, I didn't really. Yes.
Yeah, over and above.
Well,
budget,
yeah,
which is
and
outside.
You just got truckloads of salt.
I did. But those were the first truckloads I've taken this year.
Yeah,
So like we're allocated with your purchase 1,000 ton. We guaranteed them when we were gonna buy 1,000 ton this year.
Yeah.
You get a 20% overage that you're allowed to take, but you don't have to take. In the years past, they were always taking the extra 200 ton. We should be fine taking just 1,000 this year, based on the winter we had. Unless, like you said, that all of a sudden we start getting snow every week and start running through salt a lot more than I would intend at this point. I can't imagine we would use the amount of salt that would justify us buying another 200 ton at this point.
It'd be nice too for the next board meeting. I don't know how the board's feeling, but I sure would like to get those 2 roads done this year. And then get some more detail in regards to, what's center, what's the bridge, anticipated costs. And I'd like to look into our stormwater fund, because I know we can do culverts. I just wanted to make sure that we could do, because some of those edges of the road, if we don't shoulder those roads are gonna bust.
We have
I'm
a
sure
lot of
you've seen
shoulders right
roads
now
in
that are low.
Vernon.
Yeah.
And I'm not faulting anybody, it's just nature of the game, hey guys? So just to clarify, Brett, the base bid of the 42,463.60, is that one road, and then the 257 is the other road?
Correct.
Which one's which?
Base bid is Hartway Court,
And then
alternate
Johnson?
bid one is Johnson.
Okay. I just wanted to, and I know, I can see Andy's.
well, we might have a shortfall the following year in 25 anyhow, with Center Drive, finishing the rest of Center Drive and the bridge. My main reason for wanting to do them both now.
Yeah, I mean,
is you don't have as much leeway, right?
They need to be done, so I'm not
Yeah,
saying don't do it. I'm just saying be aware that it's good towards the end of the year. If I want to tar something and I'm tight somewhere, I might have to wait till the following year to tar it.
I got a question for you. We use all like 3/4 inch traffic on first over it, right?
For the most part, some of it's smaller.
Okay. Would you ever consider doing like recycled concrete instead of like crushed over?
I would. I don't know if you get Andy on board with that.
Okay.
and
Worth an ask, because every once in a while, like
You can
Dolan
buy-
or Johnson Sand and Gravel will have it, and it's cheap.
You can buy
compared to
recycled concrete for
traffic.
much cheaper, and it's pretty much the same
Why
material.
would Nandy approve it? Is there a runoff issue? Is there?
I'm not sure, I just know.
It's worth an ask.
I just know that
Yeah.
most engineers would definitely tell you to use traffic bond, they're not gonna tell you to purchase recycled concrete. I don't know the reason
Mhm.
behind it.
I only ask because, I mean, that's what we put under a lot of roads in our state. They crush it right on site and use it as base.
That's what
on
almost
the road.
everybody's doing now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or they take it off-site to save it so they can crush it for a base to
Right.
something else.
Yep.
Okay, big pile of 43 and,
Yeah.
and wait.
A lot of that is asphalt millings, but, which is a little bit pricier, but.
One pile was asphalt, the other one was all concrete.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
We'll just send Brett down there in the middle of the
That hasn't
night.
been from any of our
Get the
roads.
loader down the freeway. It's all right, we'll have Riley, escort us.
Yeah.
And he very well might say yes to it too. I just,
Haven't-
I've-
I'm just thinking if we're tight
not
and we can do a little something to get us further.
so, and I have been shouldering with millings that we have lately too, because they
Okay.
work for shouldering
Yeah.
just fine, and we have them. So rather than going out and purchasing more, when I see a low spot, I'll tell the guys to just go out and shoulder with millings. Doesn't have a little bit different appearance, sure, but it has the same effect. It packs together and it holds the road in, so.
It's better than mud.
I think long-term, we're looking at,
Or a lip of the shoulder, yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Dylan, what
I
were you
think
saying?
long-term, we're more focused on, functionality versus the look of it.
Yes, no, it's,
At 80 miles an hour, you can't tell.
that is another
At
option.
speed down our road.
That is another option. You just leave all the roads terrible to force people to
Yeah,
drive
slow
slower.
down.
Like a building.
Natural speed bumps, yeah.
It doesn't stop them in Milwaukee.
No.
Sorry. Well, just for the sake of discussion, I'd make a motion that we concur with the DPW director and village engineer's recommendation to award the base bid contract and alternative one to Wolf Paving in the amount of $85,720.60, and also authorizing the village president to sign the 2020-24 road improvement program contract. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by trustee Newman. Discussion, further discussion from the board. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Once again, Brett, I'm turning the next agenda item, the Heather Ridge Park maintenance, over to you. I know you did a memorandum to the board, and I'll just defer this to the board and Brett.
I just sent out the memorandum. It's basically, I don't see those volleyball courts used. I didn't hang a net in them last year or anything. And the posts need to be replaced. The weeds are constant in there. And I feel like we can make the whole park a lot more presentable by pulling some posts out and throwing some topsoil down and some grass seed if it's not being used. I think if we're gonna leave them in, then you gotta invest a little money into them, put new posts, and think about boxing the sand in, and bringing some new sand in, and then you can actually have a volleyball court there that looks presentable. And I would recommend, based on budget and the fact that they're not really being used, that we pull the posts, throw some topsoil down, and some seed. It would be a very minimal, wouldn't take a lot of time, and I have all those supplies here. I wouldn't be purchasing anything different or out of the ordinary to do so. And I think as the grass grows in, the park itself would look nicer.
Trustee Fleming?
I don't disagree, although the fact that you didn't put up any nets does slow people down from using it. So the fact that nobody used it doesn't do much for them. But I don't see why we would pay money for something that is an ongoing expense that it doesn't appear to be doing any benefit for the rest of the residents.
And I haven't been notified by the parks guy or anybody that somebody was looking to use it either, I guess would be another valid point. Like, I mean,
I don't know who would tell you, because the park guy might not have anything to do with it.
I
Well,
did talk to the neighbors.
I mean, off of the organized park people.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know what the neighbors had to say.
Yep, the Broom family lives right across the street. There's like several families. And years ago, we had to even buy special volleyball nets because the kids would cut them and hang on them and rip them constantly. So those nets, then they bought more expensive nets, and it was used when they had the adult softball program, but according to the neighbors, that's not used. And it looks terrible. Did you guys see it? I mean, I'm not, you know,
I mean, the posts are
I did see some
twisted
cats in
and
there.
everything, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know you could hold it, I don't know that you could hang a net currently if you wanted to.
right.
And you'd actually have to make it wider to make it safer. If you're gonna put boards, full of sand in.
Correct,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying, if you do wanna keep them, then we should do it right.
Right.
And put a little bit of money into it, put boards around it, have it set up that we can be maintained properly. But we're at a point, we have to do something, and it's one or the other, really, as far as I'm concerned.
We didn't budget anything specific for it.
Oh, and someday, I
We could
mean,
always put it back if we wanted to.
or put it in a
someday.
different park.
It would cost us,
It would cost the same amount
Right.
to start over if you decided next year you wanted to budget for volleyball courts.
Is there
You could
room,
do that, it wouldn't cost anything more.
Trustee Millie's asked if there's room for a beer garden out there.
Pop up your yard of the weekend.
If you're gonna run it, I'm sure there is room.
Well, and I think all the comments were really good. I don't know if there, do you want me to make a motion? Okay, I would make a motion to direct the DPW director to dismantle the volleyball courts at Heather Ridge, and I'll leave that for my motion.
I'll second it.
And then, with that in discussion, during budget time or in the interim, maybe we can look to see if there's a different location for a volleyball court, something a little bit safer, because the neighbors said that, well, you guys know how much vandalism is on the park shed, and I don't know why they're so sassy there, but there's some sassy kids that are. Not related to any of us,
I can say
right?
we painted that shit at least 10 times last summer.
just last summer,
Yeah.
Yeah,
we need
so,
a trail cam over there.
yeah, we talked about, you
Put
know.
Riley over there.
Yeah.
Just parked it.
We need a camo cruiser.
Is there further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Brett, once again, I'm gonna turn it over to you. This is the purchase of the zero-turn lawnmower and authorize the village president to sign the purchase agreement, which was in the budget, but Brett, I'll leave it over to you again, sir.
This was just budgeted for and starting the turnover from the old mowers to new ones. Buying it from the same place, same exact mower, it worked well. We actually handled almost all of our lawn with basically the one last year until we got one of the other older ones back to operating condition, which we're planning on keeping that one now for a few years before we rotate that one out also.
Then why do we need another new one?
We need a second mower. To actually keep up, you need to, because it was a struggle with the one while we were still trying to fix the other one.
And last year, we didn't have much rain, so things weren't growing as fast.
So you got that too. And, yeah, and if you stick with just one, you're gonna run it into the ground pretty quick.
Right, but you said we have another, we've got two. Now,
No, we have one zero turn, and we have
Right.
one of our old John Deeres that
Right.
we had to take some parts from the other one, have some pumps rebuilt, this and that, and there's definitely other stuff that that's still a 10-year-old mower also. You're gonna run into more problems with it the harder you run it. But buying the second one, you make that your backup mower as one breaks down. You pull that one out, you use it when needed, you park it when you're done. It'll make cutting grass definitely very efficient.
This is coming out of your budget, is there room in it?
Yeah, this was budgeted for.
We budgeted for this.
could buy a lot of stone for the shoulders with that. I'm just saying.
I know, Brett, when you bought the other one last year, you mentioned that it would be good to have it, and then we did budget for it, but,
You talked about it last.
yeah. And anything above 5,000, even if it's in the budget, gotta follow the ordinance, gotta come to the board. It's like a PO, right, Jim?
Exactly.
So, well, at this point, I'd make a motion to authorize the DPW director to purchase the zero-turn lawnmower in the amount of $15,213.60 and authorize myself to sign said purchase agreement. Is there a second to that motion?
So, note, Brett did reach out to Olson's and there was no purchase agreement, so just add a caveat, if there is a purchase agreement.
Right,
We'd
if
bring
there's
it to
nothing
you.
to sign, but usually they're,
When I did reach out, they had sent me an invoice then, and rather than a quote, that's basically all I asked if there was any sort of contract to sign or anything, and they just sent me an invoice over, so that's what I sent over to you.
well, I'm used to Kubotas, and Kubotas are good contracts. Further discussion from the board. Dylan, I heard you second that motion, correct, Jeff? Correct, Dylan?
Yep.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
That's one nay. 4-1. Brad, you're gonna have to take Sherry Higgins and Amanda Sherman applications for operator license. And, Brett, did you wanna, you're welcome to stay for the board meeting if you want, but if you would like to be excused, I don't think there's anything else. Gentlemen, you see anything you want Brett for? Anything in the APs? I asked him all the questions I had.
No.
You wanna go?
I will gladly go because I'm coming back probably early.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Go to sleep. I'm sorry, Brad, did you want to handle the, operator
Yeah,
part-time
so
license?
both of these operators, Sherry Higgins, she's been a previous operator, we're just waiting on a check for her. She does this for the Lutheran Church Confirmation Program. So she's been before, doesn't have any issues. Amanda Sherman, we've had she doesn't appear to have any issues in her background, but we've had issues with DOJ trying to get an official background on her. Running her on CCAP, we've come up with nothing criminal. So if you guys would be willing to approve, just add the caveats for Sherry Higgins that payment for the operator license is here before we issue the license, and for Amanda Sherman that a background check is completed and that and if nothing substantial is found, the village administrator clerk can issue it.
I don't remember if both of them were not did not have a license, or it was just one?
Sherry Higgins had one previously. I don't know about Amanda.
Amanda Sherman never has.
Because that's, did we see proof of her taking the state certification?
For Amanda.
For operator bond trick?
Yeah, Amanda Sherman did, and then Sherry Higgins, being a previous operator, was exempt.
Well, hers carries over, as long as she doesn't let her.
Only for 3 years.
Yeah, so as long as you continuously have it, she's had it, so she's a valid operator.
But the validity is only 3 years, you have to take it over again. I just did it,
Did you?
someday.
But there's stuff on your record, no, I'm kidding. Do you really bartend for the?
Yeah,
Oh, but they make you do your recertification every 3 years now?
that's state law.
Really? I never knew that.
That's
When I
something
took
new.
the test again,
Did you pass?
yeah.
So we need a bartender, we know who to call now.
Great. What's your hourly, Jim?
Well, at this point, I would make a motion to approve the operator bartender license for Sherry Higgins contingent on full payment to the village of Vernon, and Amanda Sherman contingent that her background check comes back with no issues.
I'll second that.
Is there, discussion from the board?
I have a question on the background check. If they're 18 years old, nothing will show up
Oh,
as
yeah.
a minor, will it?
Oh, never a
No,
minor
but
for
if
anything.
they're 18, it's kind of like, why get a background check? Because
They could have done something when I've got a couple.
within the last couple months.
Yeah.
So the backgrounds, and President Chu can also test this, is they're only, I think the one default of them, when you run through DOJ, they only pull stuff from Wisconsin. I don't think they pull stuff
Yeah.
nationally. So, somebody could have done something in Illinois or somewhere else. We do get their maiden name, so we do get that, but that is one thing that is there that you'll see. But we do ask them if they've had, committed any crimes. So if they lie about that, then we could.
No, I don't know what age is. I'm thinking, well, if she just turned 18, what goes the background check?
No, she didn't just turn 18.
But you're still required to do one, because boy, if you do, issue an operator or bartender's license and they've been sassy for the first 2 months of their 18.
Well, usually it doesn't appear in the Court of Records that quick either, so.
So they'll, yeah, so
Go ahead, Brad.
DOJ will show
Pending.
pending stuff, but it will also show stuff that they were, exonerated, or I don't say exonerated, but found innocent, found innocent of, there, and you can see a fair amount of information there, or come up with a fair amount of information from it, on there.
The problem is with Amanda, she's got a very common name. I know the girls had said that they ran her, and there's 2 Amanda Shermans with the exact date of birth.
They're really close. And
My wife has that issue too.
one's really sassy, as you would say, and
Yeah,
the other one, this one appears to be,
A librarian.
yes.
On the mellow side.
And I know I did talk to Vernon Lutheran Church, I'm not a member there, but they did say they put the check in the mail, and we've heard that before.
Yes.
The check's in the mail, but I know Brad wouldn't issue it until he got the $55, correct? Brad?
And Sherry Higgins said she'd pay herself, but if the churches said they will, there's no sense of making her cut us a check or refund or
Right.
things of that nature, so we'll wait and see. Their event's not for a couple of weeks, I believe, which I would expect the check to be here any time.
Yeah, April 13th. So no more discussion, did we vote on that?
No.
So I have a motion made and was seconded by trustee Finch. Discussion? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. This next agenda item is only for, let's see, discussion from the village board. Obviously, nothing's going to be adopted. If the board members feel that you want to discuss it now, or did you have time to look at it? Do you want another meeting to go through it and cross things out? Oh, one of the things I wanted to ask you is in the peddler's permit, there's a provision in there, like some communities the village board wants to see these applications come forward, and if there is an issue, they come before the board just like bartenders do. Would the board want to continue that practice, or do you want to give that authority to the village clerk, administrator, to approve? There is a caveat in the ordinance as it's written that if there's any criminal background, it has to come before the board, or if the clerk administrator feels for any reason, and that person doesn't have to state why, but if the clerk administrator feels for whatever reason it needs to go before the board, it has to go before the board. Gary?
Okay, so the clerk quits, or he's on vacation, or whatever, and to get it done, he was wanting to do it. He wasn't available, would it just come to the board then?
Well, if the clerk's not there, I don't think, I wouldn't, they'd have to wait till the clerk came back from vacation, as far as I.
Or hire a new one,
Or go to the village board, that could always be the
Yeah.
alternative.
Yeah. I
But it would
mean,
have to be drafted based upon the board's decision. If you want to see them, and then if the board doesn't want to see them, there should be a provision where the board is given copies of, their peddlers with the picture. We always put them on the website once they're approved, but at least the board would have, Brad could put, or the clerk administrator could put a approved folder in the board's packet that at any time you wanted to go back and look at approved peddler's permit, what's the time duration. That's all important for you to know, because if somebody calls you and complains, at least you can go to your computer to say when it was issued, for how long, and what the person looks like.
Do we have to allow? I mean, some communities say no solicitation period.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never heard anything positive about solicitation in the first place.
And I know John said if you put no trespassing, I think in the ordinance here it says if no they can't even come in your yard.
Right.
But that's a good point. Can you put something?
should be.
We should ask John that. That's a good point, Jim. Pretty smart. Yes, Jeff? Yes, Gary?
Girl Scout cookies,
That would be exempt.
that'd be exempt.
Right.
Okay, good.
The little scouts when you're selling,
Yeah, it says children under the age of 18.
Right. That's what Riley was looking for, is when the little peanuts go out and sell their, their little, hopefully,
I think the exemptions are pretty well listed on
Right.
the packet.
I'd be disappointed if I couldn't get my.
So you get the little kids that promote your dad's business.
Yeah, I think
Well,
you need
but
a new roof.
And the other issue, we'll ask John that too, we'll ask him Jim's, question about do we have to allow, I mean, you always wanna have little scouts have that, but do we have to allow other people? And then your point, Dylan, you had asked, I know when you had the fire, you had asked, is there any way we can do double the fine for those, fire chasers? Yeah, it's not an ambulance chaser, but you know, you had said yourself, if it wouldn't have been for Alex or, you know, when the chief say, kicking the guy out of there, and it makes them, they get really mad.
Yeah, he told somebody that he was there for my insurance company, that they sent him, which is a flat out lie. You know, that,
Well,
that's
that'd be-
taking advantage of residents that are in distress, you know.
Right.
It was literally still on fire when they came. I mean, they had not cleared the building yet.
They're certainly watching for
That'd be
smoke.
a transient,
Yeah.
whatever they call it in that.
Solicitor?
So,
Yeah.
well, yeah, whatever it's called.
And so those are two questions I'd like to ask John, you know, beforehand. Jim's point that, number one, do we even have to, obviously we wanna have one for our exempt people, but do we have to allow the rest of the solicitors or transient, whatever, I mean, we wanna allow our kids to do that, hopefully they come with a parent.
Ultimately, can't we deny a permit just because we don't feel like it's.
I don't know.
You're all right as long as you don't ever allow anybody else to have a permit, because then you're being.
Discriminatory or
Yeah.
something.
I know for a fact
Something to
when,
that.
in zoning, you can't not allow adult or oriented, most communities don't want those. So you do allow them like in a quarry. I mean, you have to.
So many feet away from something, yeah.
Yeah,
So, but any other
32
questions?
miles from. Oops.
Brad, any other, I'm gonna get those questions asked, but
What do
if
we
you,
do with the food trucks? I don't think it should be under a peddler's permit.
that we
Do
can take out. We do have, I just wanna let the board know, we do have, you know, when it's really busy in the park, they do have, you know, those little ice cream trucks or those, they have
Yeah.
cotton candy and, you know.
I've never seen any food truck around. That being said, I mean, I like food from the food trucks, you know.
I mean, that's something to take into consideration if you wanna take up food trucks, but.
The only thing I think, well, the ice cream truck example, even if it's no fee, we should almost have them register so that we know who's out there,
Right.
so that we don't have weirdos looking around, you know.
Well, and make sure they got the proper credentials, that they've been approved by,
Exactly.
have their state license and stuff too, or something, you know, where it's
Just
not just
as-
a fly-by-night
Yeah.
outfit with a cooler or something on a truck, yeah.
Right, just kind of as a double check, we don't have to punish them for doing business, we just
Right.
want them to come to us and say, hey, is it okay, you know?
Yeah, you have to really look into the verbiage on that, because a couple of years ago, we had a guy stop out here selling shrimp out of the trunk of his car. Now, it was pretty good looking shrimp, but
How do you know?
you don't know. Had no idea where he got it from either.
The river.
Yeah, it says, you know, on the
Those were
box.
shrimp.
Texas crawfish.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna pose those questions, I'm gonna give those to Brad, and then Brad will send it to John, but if you can think of any more, when you look at it, send it to Brad, and then, Brad, we'll wait till next week to get those to John. Because that'd be good to know, is number one, do we have to do it, number two, can we do double the charges, number three, you know, I'll write down all the things that we brought up.
The charge is pretty, it's like $250 or something for a peddler's permit?
It depends on how long, I mean, it depends on the duration too.
Yeah, it's like $300, I think.
And it's not cheap.
Yeah, cause it's like, yeah, cause we had 10 last year or something like that.
10 or 12.
Do we have that many?
Yeah,
Oh,
the one
wow.
company. And they're very
That's
well,
per person, not per.
That was
yeah, that's per person. So yeah, and they were,
mosquito.
yeah, the weed
Oh,
lawn
yeah.
guys or something.
Nobody ever came to our house. All I did is,
I
don't know if I should-
Kid.
no, I get the
Oh, that
religious
You got that one
groups.
Oh,
person who visited him.
that's the first person I thought, it was the guy that, hey! He was in a special suit.
Hotel.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, if you guys think of any other questions, if you could get those to Brad by the end of next week, or with Easter, or right after Easter, like any other questions you want Brad to get to John. So that when that's the other thing, if you could think about, if do you want to see all these as a board? Do you want to see all those licenses come before you, or do you feel comfortable with the clerk administrator approving them as long as they have no criminal background checks, and that you'd be notified in a special packet on your board packet for those?
The only problem with that is he'd have to do the background check
He does.
beforehand.
Yeah,
And so that's a cost to us.
but they have, when they pay, we don't do the background checks until we get a check.
Yep.
Yeah, they have to pay everything all up front, Jim, and then we do the background checks.
And then
And
if
that's
it
not
comes back
refunded.
and you don't want them, then what happens?
They don't get the money back. That's the cost of doing business.
That's a non-refundable.
Right, the background check on bartender's license also, they don't get it back either.
Oh,
If
okay.
they fail, they get the $45 back on a bartender's license, but they don't get the background check, because we don't wanna eat that cost.
Yeah.
That's not fair to the taxpayers.
Uh-uh.
Does that sound good, guys?
Yeah, just, it'd be nice if we got, as soon as he's issued it, we all get an email, so we know right away, because
Right.
they usually hit the
Right.
streets pretty quick, and, I mean, how often do you go to the website? To check that, and then
Right.
there's somebody in the neighborhood, you know, so it's just,
But
On your list of questions to ask, you would have, how high can we make that?
that double the fine, or
Yeah.
money for the fire thing?
Because somebody that's really willing to pay more money is probably more reputable
Right.
than the fly-by-nights.
I know when Dylan was saying about that fire that occurred in Morningstar, I was on the phone with Patrick about something about the fire, and he started yelling. He was angry, because the same thing happened to that poor family that had the fire, and this person was not affiliated with his insurance company either. Fire department gets mad because they're trying to fight a fire, and there's somebody running around with their clipboard, asking questions, and
yeah, I don't know what insurance company can respond that quick.
Yeah.
It took a week to get back to me.
Yeah.
You usually have to call them first, but, I'm just saying.
Well, I did.
All right, gentlemen, so we got our marching orders on that one. The next agenda item, I wanted to ask the board how they felt about having the clerk administrator approve bartender operator license if there's no criminal background, with the understanding that you get a copy of, the approved person. Do you want the clerk administrator to approve?
Well, I always question why we even have them come in personally,
That's
when
only
they
if they have-
had an issue. Because we don't turn it down very often.
Right, and John always wants, if there's something that we have an issue with, he always wants us to hold a hearing so he can be there to protect us, because you don't want to not allow someone to work, but you're also concerned for everybody's safety.
It's just like the dog permit,
Right,
Yeah, I'd be fine with that too, if we had no criminal record of any
Right.
sort, let the clerk
right,
approve
because,
it and issue it right away versus waiting for us.
so we'll bring that ordinance back, we'll rewrite that, Brad, and bring it back to the board for you guys to take a look at it, then if you're comfortable with it, then we'll go from there, but I know Brad, he's got their driver's license, he's got the certification, he's got the money, so, I mean, I think it's a waste of
How
our
long,
time.
excuse me, how long does it take to get the,
15 minutes background check,
background check?
10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, most of the time,
Oh, all right.
like, the issue we had with this one is when you get a name that's a common name or something that's close, or somebody has a lot of, close to a name where somebody has a lot of issues, it can be difficult to get it. I think, too, there may be change our form a little bit. I think important questions are, where have you lived anywhere else in the last 5 years? Because if, somebody just moved here and now is an operator, they're not gonna have any criminal history here.
Right.
Anyway, so,
CCAP isn't gonna do anything.
yeah,
Right.
or DOJ's not gonna do anything, so it's like, what good does it do for us to?
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have their email addresses. I agree with Brad, you're gonna change that form up.
We can change
Brad.
it up.
Yeah. So we'll bring the ordinance back, and Brad's gonna work on Brad can do the form on his own. I mean, he knows what to ask or what, because then he could do a criminal background check and I mean, you'd have to charge a little bit more, but,
Yeah, we have to find a, some states have it, some states don't, and some states it's really hard to track
Right.
down.
when I asked our sheriff's department, they don't have a code, anything they do, they have to have a code for when they're running someone. And since this one bartender has a real common name, the only thing they can have her do is on Wednesdays, they do fingerprinting, then they send that fingerprint to the DOJ, and then they do a background check on fingerprint. But that's the only, they can't run them,
Pretty extreme for a bartender.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Just an FYI, Quantico charges $45 for the license, period.
with the background check and everything, really? We
Is
should-
that a 1-year license or a 2-year license? Should be a 2-year license.
I think it's a 2-year license, yeah.
Yeah, because the state limits operator license to basically $25 a year is the max you can charge. But then the cost of the background check
Right.
too.
But we should write something in there as, also if they've lived in other states and we have to do a background check, now that we should.
Something that's
up
more
that
thorough, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because I don't think there is a nationwide,
No.
unless you work for even the FBI. Well, we'll check into that and see. And the other issue too is I don't know when the state's gonna implement their statewide licensing. That should be fun. We never see them if the state, if and when the state takes that on, so. Okay, guys, well, at least Brad and I know where you're coming from. The next item is Resolution 2024-5, a resolution electing not to exercise extraterritorial plat review and zoning. We talked about this at staff, we talked about it at the last meeting. This, if approved by the board, would be contingent. I didn't send it to John because I wanted you to see it. Did you see I did talk to the DOA, remember
I
Eric
saw.
Schmidt? He had said, he sees these all the times in border agreements, and I told Eric, it's not that we have anything against border agreements, but it's a waste of money when it's from county to county, and there can't be any annexations. I just wanted to know if the board concurred that we adopt this resolution, and this can be changed, just so everybody's aware, if another board elects not to do this. The resolution just references the state statutes, and Vince and Brad did the math. And then I just put, what happened to that last guy that came in, not the one, Mr. Roth. I mean, it violated every part of our ordinance, but there's nothing you can do.
But what's the incentive to our giving up our right to do whatever we can do?
The only incentive is not, putting someone through the double cost. I mean, the cost.
But not our residents.
No,
You know,
we charge it all back.
Yeah.
It has no benefit, except for, as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to be offensive, but it's a waste of our time at the land commission meeting. There's nothing we can do anyway. I mean, we don't have any authority. Even and I know Sean said that last one, we would never approve something like in Vernon, but they did in the town of Waterford.
But that's why it's done as part of a border agreement. When people do that, what that resolution is recommending, it's typically part of a border agreement, because you've already covered some of the other issues, i.e. you don't necessarily want to have a rock quarry right on our border. I know, well, he's not here anymore. I know some people that wouldn't like that, over in the southeast corner of our town.
Right. Yeah. I don't.
But how do you stop it?
Right.
Well, with a border agreement, you can cover that kind of stuff and say, okay, the rest of this, you're gonna just build a house over there? Who cares? It doesn't have to follow our rules. But you put that, what you're concerned about, in a border agreement. We talked a little bit about that, and we kind of said, well,
Border agreements are expensive.
they take time, And does Waterford, really justify that with us. I don't know how many feet or miles of border we have with Waterford.
6.
6 miles? Well, I know, 6 miles. But they could put a lot of crap right on our border that we wouldn't like, with just saying, okay, we're not gonna do this anymore. So I have heartburn with that, but as part of the border agreement, I'd say, okay, fine.
In my feeling, I have nothing against a border agreement, and I know the town of Waterford would love a border agreement. And my opinion would just be to do this and then work on the border agreement. This would just be in addition to the agreement. I mean, this type of language was done for the town of McGuanago, and we don't need border agreements with anybody else because they're all villages and cities, but the town of McGuanago, Jim's right in our border agreement. We've had a couple times people say, and they put on their certified survey map because their surveyor didn't realize they don't have to come to Vernon anymore. Because we have that 1.5 mile parameter for
Right.
extraterritorial, but not for the town of McGuanago. And that can't be changed, where this could be, if you did a border agreement, if the board chose, and we'll put that on the next agenda, but in the meantime, I would like to exercise this so the Waterford residents aren't wasting their time in Vernon.
I'm not concerned about Waterford residents. That's just my,
I am.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about anybody that, I know I put that in my memo, but I know the duplication of government services is,
Well, it's just a waste of our time because we can't
even if.
stop it. You know, we can't
well,
require any changes.
you can, but it's a little more arduous than we probably wanna do anyhow. I'm just against our giving away our rights to do something, carte blanche, you know. And as for the border agreement, we can put in whatever collectively you think is necessary. That would be okay. But all just by itself, we're just giving away our rights to, you know, to protect our residents. That's just the way
But,
I look at
or
it.
one option would be you can decrease, right now we have 1.5 mile jurisdiction, but this could decrease it to something less than 1.5 mile too, right?
You could, but I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, I understand where Jim's coming from. Even when Michael Alex did his event barn, those people from Waterford came in and had a fit, but their own zoning allows it without even a conditional use permit. It's just a permitted right by use. So I mean, you see the difference in the zoning. I just feel terrible for anybody having to pay a planner and engineer twice. And we can't do anything, especially these certified survey maps, there's nothing we can do about it anyway. It violates every part of our ordinance, but you saw John's memo and Sean's.
By just not responding, we're not saying, oh, we're not gonna enforce that. We just don't respond. We're also then not saying that we approve it.
Yeah, but in the meantime, they have legal fees and planning fees for,
Okay, that's not our fault.
And the recommendation has been to still take it up even though we're not taking any action. So like with the previous one for Mr. Roth, the recommendation from the village attorney was to still bring it to plan commission and village board, even though no action was taken. The recommendation and the direction from the planner and the village attorney was to take no action on it. It still had to be brought to plan commission, and it results in a 90-day wait for them too.
right?
Can we reduce the 1.5 miles and also say anything like under 10 acres does not need to come to Vernon? You know, size-wise, you know, just like this last one was just a lot thing.
Yeah,
You know, anything major, I could see, okay, we need to know about it, and,
Something like normal residential use.
yeah.
well, that's where you get into the border agreement, where you can specify those things for sure, you know.
Well, you could just, you could adopt this and work on a border agreement, because the border, that takes a long time.
But
A lot of work.
this would be the quickest and
This would be,
easiest route.
yeah,
'cause-
something for now, a Band-Aid for now.
Right.
Or just not doing anything about it. If so facto, it goes, 90 days and it's done. They do whatever they wanna do. And it didn't cost us any time at all. We didn't didn't have to do anything with it.
Well, I'd make a motion to approve resolution 2020-2024-05, a resolution declaring the village of Vernon intention of not to exercise extraterritorial zoning power in the town of Waterford contingent on legal review. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Discussion?
I don't know, can we reduce the size, did Macy say anything about,
He hasn't seen it yet. Well, he's seen it, but.
Yeah, I mean, they said we could put any distance in there from 1.5 miles to 0, I believe is what John said, but, I don't recall if we had any discussions or any questions about size or
No.
things like that.
It's
And that gets to be so generic anyways, because you could have a use that you don't like, even though, like Jim said, a quarry's not gonna be a smaller lot size.
or can you just say residential excused, or?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Residential and agricultural uses are excused or something like that would be fine with me.
But the thing to remember is just because it's something now doesn't mean it can't change. Or just because they're saying it's this doesn't mean it can't change. Just like President Chu said earlier in the meeting, once something's rezoned to that zoning classification, any use that's permitted or conditional in that zoning classification is now fair game for use.
And I wonder, because it says we have to have a resolution on file saying we are exercising. I have never seen that that we have opted to exercise our extraterritorial zoning.
As I was going through this yesterday with Vince, and looking at the map, my true question is I thought this would have been something that would have come up maybe in incorporation, because towns don't have this authority, and when you guys incorporated, that jurisdiction would have gone into Village of Waukesha, or Town of Waukesha at that time, even though you had a border agreement with Town of McGuanago, but you still would have had the Waterford one there, so I'm not, I wasn't here for the incorporation, so I can't speak to that, but this is an integral part of village and city government, so I'm
And Eric Schmidbauer from the DOA said that the difference too, being a village, we have village powers where we could never, where the statute is mute, you can create the rule as long as it doesn't violate the statutes, and these are the statutes that delineate extraterritorial zoning.
So that would be another question, is if we haven't exercised it, then do we have to have a resolution to exercise it too?
Right, because in the statute it talks about a village and city having something on file with the Register of Deeds saying that we are invoking our extraterritorial right. But I know we never did anything as a village to that. And I know the town of Waterford would love to have a border agreement with the town of Waterford, the village of Vernon. And that's something that we could start on right away, but we didn't budget. All we would do is take one of our old.
That's why I think him and I are on the same page, just put a Band-Aid on it for now
And work on it.
and then next, I'm sure it'll take a while. Everybody's busy.
Yeah, we just can't take one of our other border agreements and change the names.
You could do some of it, but most of it, we were at town when we wrote it.
Yeah.
Eric Schmidbauer did say that he's got 2 examples that were approved from a village to a town, and a lot of them that had this in a border agreement. So that would be just my thought is this would just be a Band-Aid. And I know if you wanted the Village of Waterford chair to come in, she'll tell you how bad they can't get a border agreement with the Village of Waterford, but they could get one from the Village of Vernon. I don't know if they're trying to incorporate also, but it's gonna be really.
So that ain't gonna happen.
It's like we were with Big Ben. I mean, they don't get along at all.
I'm not opposed to, trying to minimize the fees to their residents. I mean, if I were one of their residents and I had to go to a second governing body to tell me what I could do on my land, I'd be pissed.
Well, they already do, because they have to go to county too.
Yeah, so now a third governing body then to tell me what I can do on my land is excessive.
Well, Vernon residents had to do that too when we were in town.
Right.
That's what initiated the FICA annexation.
Yeah.
Paul was so mad. He thought he was done when he came to the town, and then he had to go to the county, and the county had at that time 3 agencies before it went to county board.
Well, the county was very difficult back then.
Right.
Yeah. So, I have no problem with trying to reduce the fees and hoops to jump through.
But we don't have to do anything and reduce the fees. We're not gonna take that up, so there's not gonna be any fees from us.
But I mean, if it comes to us, don't we have to have our people review it?
We don't have to do anything, technically. I
There's,
read the statutes today, this morning.
Is that true?
well,
We don't,
so the last one we had was in November or December, whenever it was, the Roth one. That it didn't meet any of our stuff, and the recommendation from the planner and from the village attorney was to take no action on it. So then you opened up the statutory door after 90 days, the CSM automatically becomes approved by us. But we still had to sign, we still have to, and I'm working through it with John, sign a certificate or something to that nature. So, and we still had to bring it forward to planning commission and village board, because, you know, the question comes to you guys is, you know, if one comes through here and we say, well, we're just gonna take this 90-day approach, well, it could be for, you know, a quarry, it could be for residential, it could be for adult entertainment for all we know. And, you know, your people are gonna be, well, how could, you know, my devil's advocate is, a resident's gonna say is, how could we allow that, you know, right across the border from us and not say anything or not know anything about it? And then, you know, I look like the one that's sitting here not saying anything, but it's,
the other problem is it's different county too.
Oh, that,
You know, so
That's
it's,
Probably the biggest problem.
Yeah.
oh, and as soon as McGuanago went into Walworth County, they changed all the because that was happening quite often where villages and cities were going out of their county, and that they changed. You can't do that anymore. Cannot.
Nope.
Unless they write a special statute for it, but as the statutes stand now, you cannot go into another county.
well, I'm just saying, I mean, us being Waukesha and them
We
being
were seeing-
Racine, I mean, Racine County may allow it, or Waukesha County may not, and how do you,
it's
You
two,
like that,
it's two very different animals between the two counties.
yeah.
It's,
So-
that's for
Night and
sure.
day.
So there's a lot of issues with McGuanago and us that I don't see much benefit. You know, making the residents go through that, but it would be nice at some point to have it more locked up in a border agreement where
And
you
I'll,
can control a little.
Eric did say, I'll ask him, I'll email him tomorrow and have him email the board. He said he's got two really good examples that we could copy. I mean, it would still, we'd incur some costs, you know, for legal and planning, but, and Waterford would love to do a border
Would
agreement.
they split the cost?
I could ask if they'd pay for it. I'm sure they'd pay for it.
Who represents them?
We like that.
I'll talk to the chair because,
We're gonna build a wall and they're gonna pay for it.
I mean, or have their attorney draft it. You know, I mean, our attorney would review, but if they want a board agreement, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I'll contact Eric and then contact the town chair in Waterford and see what they have to say.
So should we just table this for right now, or we get some?
I have a motion to approve. I mean, this is just, you can change this next month if you wanted.
Or we just, with that,
So I have a motion made and second. Is there a discussion on the motion, on the resolution? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
that,
Nay.
Okay, the next agenda item is,
before you go to the next agenda, do we need a motion to,
I think it dies when you vote it down.
well, that side,
Yeah,
but we could make another motion to go ahead with the border agreement concept.
it's on the
You have to
agenda.
put it on the agenda.
Yeah, we have to wait till, we'll put it on the agenda.
April 4th.
The next agenda item is, request to change the Waterford Union's, school district boundaries, allowing, Vernon properties to be in the McGuanago School District. The reason I put this on, it really irritates me that, in February, we had to hire staff, had to have all the equipment, the ballots, we pay for everything for Racine County's referendum.
4 people, right?
Two,
That affects or
you have 2 people, I mean, granted, somebody could build a
That
house.
might now
and
go to
have-
5.
If they, you know, well, I thought he was petitioning to,
Waterford.
I mean, it's such a joke that I don't mind, if we have to, why do we have to pay for it? It has nothing to do with, well, it's people I know why we have to pay for it, they live in our community, but they're part of that school district. I don't know, did
Doesn't
John,
make sense.
No, it doesn't
isn't
make
that
sense.
stupid?
Nope.
Did that
Don't they
Jane,
have a
They were,
right of some kind to go to whatever school they wanna go to?
School choice, yeah.
Yeah,
that doesn't
so
change,
it's their choice.
it doesn't
so
change
then-
the boundary. That's the issue, is the boundary.
Yeah.
It's not,
So if we change the boundary and
We can't.
they have kids, we can't change the boundary.
they have to, we have to
Okay.
petition for them to change it. We can't.
So
do that.
if we petition it and they change the boundary and these two, I'm gonna say there's two kids.
we
ECs,
would only be impacting one student currently, and I think they'd be graduating shortly.
In Waterford? Masons don't have any kids.
Peter.
He's going to Norris, isn't he?
No,
He's petitioning to Waterford?
yeah, because they bought that and they're petitioning to Waterford, just like so it may be beneficial because the last thing I don't say the last thing we want, but with Norris selling off that property, the last thing we could potentially see is that starts to expand, Waterford starts to expand this way. I guess think of it from our perspective when Big Bend was annexing here, the more territory you gobble up, the more tax revenue you get. So that's why the schools, I think, bicker over it more than anything as the tax revenue than anything else.
And Masons have a lot of empty land. I mean, someday it's gonna develop, so there'll be more people there someday. But I just couldn't believe that we had to bear the whole cost of their referendum question. That isn't fair to our taxpayers, but they do live in, I don't even know, did John say anything?
I completely agree with you. I just wanna make sure there's not like two kids or a kid that all of a sudden has to like change schools in the middle of like,
Well, I don't think we could make a change.
as long as they're like still okay and.
I guess the question would be, so I did it for the Rochelle property down that Norris was sold to somebody, and they just recently petitioned to go into the Waterford schools out of Norris. And there was a form that I had to sign. I guess that would be a question for John, maybe more in depth, is that form that I signed, could the board have a stance that we sign it under protest or something of that nature, or don't sign it because we don't want, what leg,
Yeah.
is there any leg we have to stand on to do so, like I said, because the other one that has to be flipped out of Norris into a different school district is the property down here on, Forest Home,
Fred's daughter?
yeah, and those other,
Aren't they in Norris?
yep, and those other, 3 lots or 2 lots that he has there, that were part of that purchase.
Well, so did Joan Coates. She was in Norris and went to McGuanago
Yeah.
when I was the clerk.
Yeah,
So, you know what we'll do is we'll put that on the next staff agenda, because John says to follow chapter 117 of the Wisconsin State Statute, so, I'm sure it's gotta be a big deal. I know we can't do it,
and school districts do fight. I know traditionally the ones that I recall most recently was there's certain areas of Pewaukee on the south side that are in the Waukesha School District where the people actually want to be in the Pewaukee School District, and then I know up in Washington County, the people that live in there's a section of people, or it might be Ozaki County, that go to West Bend schools, but they would to switch to Cedarburg schools, and they're always fighting over trying to get that switch. So I know
It needs to go to state level and they change it, based on your lines, this is your school district, Yeah, 'cause I don't see a school giving up a few
Land.
residents, that's a decrease in property tax money for them. So they wouldn't approve it regardless.
Yeah, so we'll get the information on chapter 117, and then, there's no huge rush, but, we'll get more information on that. I just wanted to know, obviously we can't talk about this outside of a board meeting, but that was just something that really bothered me, because I called Wes to say, how come we have to and she said, because they're in our municipality in a different school district.
They live in Vernon, still in Waukesha County.
Yes.
Why are they in Waterford, which is in machine gun.
That's where the boundary of the school district was drawn. I mean, I can tell you,
How did you do
honestly,
that line?
there are 2 referendums, I had to take all my election, everything, boxes and boxes, not the 2 people that voted. I had to bring all my election stuff twice down to the Racine County Courthouse to have, when they do a canvassing, you have to have all your election, for 2 voters. I had thousands of other, isn't that a
Yeah.
crock?
That doesn't make any sense.
It sounds like more of a state level issue than what we can get approved.
You know, can we give those 2 properties to Racine or whatever, get them the hell out of Vernon?
No,
I don't think we wanna
No.
do that either.
Yeah, I know, there's taxes, money that we're driving from it, but still.
but we'll follow up.
Hmm?
We'll follow up, we'll look into that chapter 117, and see what we can find out.
Yeah, Waterford doesn't have anybody that's vice versa, that's going to Quantico, that they gotta do this for or something.
I'd have to look, I've never
Or we
looked
could
at,
I'd have to look at,
swap 'em,
yeah, I'd have to look
Yeah.
at the line.
That'd be a good idea.
cause that they'd probably be an easy fix, okay, we'll swap these out for each other and.
yeah, because I know when Joan Coates added that parcel to her, she got their parcel, that parcel that was in Norris vacant, went to the Mawanago School District, but it was 1 acre parcel, wasn't any big, movement, but we'll look into it further, but I wanted to know if you were as upset as I was, that, what you have to go through and what that cost. Not that it was hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it had no benefit to Vernon at all, but those people pay their school taxes to Waterford, which I'm sure they're happy. The next agenda item is Resolution 2020-2406, appointment of election inspectors for the 2020-24-25. These are additional election inspectors. Brad, did you want to say anything about that?
President Shu said it correctly. These are just additional ones. We had training last week and they attended. These are individuals who couldn't attend the training in December, and we had a few new inspectors on there too, so just additionals.
I just want to tell you that Laura True's name is spelled wrong, and then the dates of the resolution are incorrect, and then your signature date, so you'd have to, I'd make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-24-6, a resolution to appoint election inspectors with the corrections as stated. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by trustee Swanee. Discussion? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I will defer to trustee Swanee for your reports there.
I have nothing at this point.
Trustee Finch?
I do have one question. When is my last meeting?
Plan Commission.
Your last,
You have a meeting on the 4th, and then Plan Commission on the April 10th, is it? Yeah, you have one last board meeting
your
and
last
one
day,
last Plan Commission.
your last day in office is April 15th.
April 15th.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, if we call any meeting.
Tax day.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Everything comes in.
Trustee Finch?
Yeah, this is the last board meeting we're gonna have before the election. So it'd give me an opportunity to tell everybody to go out and use their rights and vote for the people they want to be in office, and good luck.
Trustee Newman?
I don't really have anything.
Trustee Millies?
Nothing to report, but are we gonna have a ballot posted on the window out here?
Yep, samples were either delivered late this afternoon, just as we were closing, or it'll be delivered tomorrow.
What are they voting on? You don't have any ballots here?
No, we have ballots, we don't have samples, the official samples yet.
They don't let you copy it and just put a paper cut?
We can. But
Because I know, I
Yeah, 'cause I
had,
looked, like, wanted to see what's on the ballot.
yeah, I had a couple people say, well, they wanted to study. A lot of people pick up a sample and take it home and study.
Brad also said it's gonna be on myvote.wisconsin.gov.
It's always there.
Yep.
So,
Brad, do you have any announcements?
And I'd just like to say too, happy World Down Syndrome Day today. My granddaughter has Down syndrome, that's why.
Is it today or, I thought it was the 31st?
21st.
Oh, really? Okay.
You're supposed to wear mismatched socks today at some point.
Right, we should do that all the time.
Jim came prepared. I do have one quick question. So are we still doing the Keller meeting next week, Wednesday?
No,
I don't think
that's
so.
it for the board. That's for that, our little group.
Oh, okay.
We have the meeting on the 25th, but we don't, as a board, don't have a,
Oh, okay, for whatever reason I wrote it down.
no, you're off
Well, we do have the survey meeting.
on the 25th.
Is that the meeting you're referring to?
No, he's
No.
talking about Keller.
This is different.
Yeah,
I
that
know
came,
about the 25th, I got that wrote down too.
yeah, we have a meeting on the 27th, but it's not a board meeting. Brad, do you have any announcements?
No, just early in-person absentee voting continues, tomorrow, 8 to 3:30, and then every day next week, including Friday, which is Good Friday, we will be open, and then voting's at, this Big Bend Elementary from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on the 2nd.
Are you open on Good Friday? What?
3:30.
3:30, okay. Let's see, and the sheriff's department and fire department reports were in your packet. Is there any discussion on those reports?
No, they were both in the packet. The only question I have is on the fire department one, you know, they have the graph on there. What the hell does it mean? I'm having a hard time.
Response times, yeah.
Yeah, when I look at it, it doesn't tell me what I thought.
It should be like a different style graph, yes. It's not supposed to be a line graph.
But I noticed there was one big spike, 20 minutes before the, I don't know if that's the departure time or the time they actually got on site. But if it took 20 minutes on site, but it better be far away, you know?
I bet that would be a mutual aid, don't you think?
I don't know.
I think their response time is 4 minutes in Vernon.
Well, that's what we hear all the time, that's why I was asking.
Yeah,
Most of the time, it does look like it's out there 6 to 8 minutes or whatever, but, I just didn't really know what
Well, I can tell you,
City of Burlington. Structure
Yeah,
fire,
quite
City of
quick.
Burlington, Vernon was requested through Mavis to 1 ambulance. If you look on the 23rd, 22nd, 23rd, that's where they went to City of Burlington. The 26th was a structure fire in Lyons. Where's Lyons?
Down by Lake Geneva. That was that antique shop.
Actually, I like that written report part that you're looking at now, I thought that was,
that is nice. I was gonna say mine was on the 8th, so you can see the response time was very fast.
yeah.
So, we're done, let's, now we're into accounts
Do you have
payable.
a report?
No, I don't have any. I have one, but I don't wanna, I wanna get out of here.
Just want to make sure.
Let's see, accounts payable.
It's premature to move to approve.
I had a question on.
I have a bunch of questions.
All right, go.
The Highline check on page 46.
The no documentation of,
Well, there's a 9 cent or 11 cent difference. What's the receipt for, what's posted in the list here. Number page 46.
there's also, they deducted $129.75. It says per Joe, but there's no documentation. The auditor, that should be in the packet, so we could see it in the auditor. It says it's a credit, but just writing on there doesn't show us anything.
No, I feel like I found a lot more receipts in there than what we're paying out. I couldn't find, I don't know, I always struggle with these, trying to get everything to match up right.
Yeah, they weren't in order. That, I agree, but you said the math is wrong too, Jeff?
Well, it's in our document sheet listed at $168.75, and the receipt shows $168.64. It's only a 11 cent difference.
But I mean, would you take that $129.75 off with no, have you seen this documentation?
I have not.
Who even wrote that in there? Do you know? Per Joe, who's Joe S?
Joe,
Your mechanic.
yeah,
Oh. I don't know how, I mean, I can't believe that you'd approve a bill with, you know, they should, you think they'd have a credit memo. What if he's wrong on the credit? Two, on the city credit card, why is there, $20.13 in interest charges? Aren't these paid on time?
no, they were, so they're gonna be corrected on the next one. There was something that happened and we've called and it's all gonna be credited back to us.
City is gonna credit us?
Yeah,
This one, because, I mean, if you see the yearly charges for.
yep, all the yearly charges are gonna be credited back to us.
Why did they charge it?
Linda called and I don't know what happened or what they did or something got mixed up there, but they were paid in time and so there was some confusion on that, so that's why they're crediting us back the interest and late fees on it.
I just wanted to tell the board, you see that 4486? I thought that was unbelievable that they do the same, and you can't see the Walmart receipt, you know, in the,
That was one of my complaints.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I did check it, they are identical, but in the board packet, you couldn't even see the Walmart, When I did ask, Brett, that the Airmark ones we never were so late. Did you see the were from
That was
January?
one, yeah, you have invoices from January 1st or 7th or something like
Yeah.
that. You got some from
February?
February, and then into March. There were 2 from January.
And I
And
did,
we're charged interest on it because,
yeah, and Brett told me that, you know, they changed hands. Airmark was sold off to
oh, I
a
didn't
new company.
remember that, I didn't know that.
But what they're supposed to do is the driver is supposed to give Brett, because he can check with overalls and rags and, you know, you wanna make sure that where he leaves and the new driver hasn't been doing that, so he's gonna contact them. Cause they said,
Because you got a couple of them, excuse me,
yeah,
a couple of them are the exact same amount.
right,
I think
That's
that's
kind of
more,
weird.
yeah.
59.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And Conley Media, did you charge back that $249 for elections? Is it? what-
Yes, yeah, that that was changed, that went back to elections.
I know elections, but shouldn't, like, over 200 of that go, do you?
Yes, so we will then bill the communities.
But there should be an entry that goes to the other, because it looks like we're paying that. So, what we
Yeah.
always did before, we paid our $22, and the other 200 and some went to other, there's a portion in the budget, says other communities. We put that as an expense, and then the revenues are credited when they pay that off. Because this shouldn't be all charged, because it makes us look like our election costs are
Yes,
much higher than they actually are for.
I'll have to look and see that line, we can make that change, or if and when we bill, we would just credit this expense account for those payments from the other communities, which would then show our true cost.
And the fever check, that affidavit, they're saying it's a stale check from February of 2024? Says, according to our records, you did not cash check number 7186 in February of 2024. It's a stale check, no amount on there. You know, they should redo this affidavit, because it can't be stale in February. And there's no amount on, these people are signing saying, yeah, but it doesn't have the amount. I think that affidavit, I wouldn't have any problem signing the check as long as a new affidavit is done with, you know, is it stale or did they lose it? Do you know what?
The story I got is they lost it, is the original story I got. And
Yeah.
that's why I think they were in the first check run and they hadn't received it in the mail. We told them wait, and then they came in and filled this out, and so if they put down stale, I would say that's incorrect, because then it's there. Now, I do believe they did receive a check in '23 for a refund also, but
Well, Glenn Fever is a former, if you have a problem calling him,
I don't have a problem
I would just,
main
say
contact.
that it's our understanding you lost check number blah, 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 in the amount of blah, 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 and then have them just re-sign it and then give them their check, because that affidavit is not, and you said, LPI, Monroe, we're paying off, it's not it's a statement, it's not, do you have an invoice for Monroe?
I'd have to ask Brett or,
Yeah, you gotta get a statement, because we don't pay off of, and I could not follow the auto parts thing. The ones
Me too.
that whoever did the ones that we had invoices for, but all this interest and penalties and
On which-
Complicated.
this makes no sense. Did you follow it?
No, that was one of the,
on which one?
Napa.
Napa.
Nap. I know we've been battling with them on this one.
I just saw the total amount posted on the receipts was the same, that was for the check was written for, I don't know how they got to that amount, but.
Exactly.
Well, and 8 of 23, I mean, that's pretty old stuff. I mean, are you gonna follow through on this? Because
I know Sue's been working with them to try to get these, get this, because it's gone back, and it's, I know, difficult to get a hold of this. I mean, we can either deny it and bring it back, or,
well, I mean, the ones that they have receipts, there's invoices for, I wouldn't have any problem paying that.
As long as we didn't pay them already.
Right, it's not
we
a,
haven't,
I don't know what you guys wanna do. I mean, I wouldn't have any problem paying the 5748 and, but this one that's all written up, that makes, and the $10, I don't know, unless, and then there's, the one in the front that's $144.21. I wouldn't have any problem paying that, but this one that's all scribbled on. Brad, too, on your credit card, Walmart charges tax and so did, Office Depot. Yours tax, Walmart, you should have, we don't pay tax. Do you pick up soda there all the time?
not all the time. I usually look to see where the cheap, who's got on sale.
But we shouldn't pay tax on that, and then Office Depot, we should be registered where we don't pay tax. It looks like you picked up something from Office Depot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only a couple bucks, but
It's still a couple. Spectrum. Your Spectrum one in the back has 25 cents tax on it.
does it really?
Yep. There's a lot in that Spectrum stack of invoices that I can't ever follow the Spectrum one. But it, down there by the totals, it says tax, I remember right, it was 25 cents. And it's in there, that is in their total for the invoice that we're paying.
Yeah,
I don't know if
that's not right.
no. I guess it's not really tax.
Yeah, because
But there's
if you
some-
look on the phone bills, they have those taxes, and I when I first started, I called and said, hey, I mean, we were paying tax, they took off the tax they shouldn't take, but the taxes that we have to pay, our fuel, we
Yeah.
pay a special tax for that we can't get out of either.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if that's part of, if that's, so somebody should look at that.
And is this Napa, are they standing firm that they're gonna charge that finance fee? You would think that as much business as we do with them, they'd eat that.
Yeah, and I
But
think,
it's from
and I
August
think,
last year.
I think some of it goes back to, like, one of the store they were going to went out of business or something. But I know Sue's been trying to chase them down for 3 or 4 months at least to try to get that rectified, and I know it's just been like pulling teeth with them.
The Centurion bill, again, every month is wrong, every single month.
What's wrong with that?
There's another one, you'll see that. Yeah.
If you look at the bill, every month, I say every single month is wrong. This is the charge that should go to all these should go to the departments.
Let's go back.
Which one's
Like for yours,
They are broken out by department.
Yeah, but she's charging your department $1.20 for your life insurance, so it's more than that.
Because the other part is taken out through payroll.
I'm not, it says Centurion, clerk administrator, if you look on the bill, it says $4.32 is the premium that the town pays, the village pays. All those additionals come out of payroll.
Yeah, but then there's a 10 or 20% premium to that's paid the
But
employer contribution, and that's the part that's $1.20. So the basic is coming out through payroll. The employer contribution 20% is
But
$1.20.
that's wrong. Your department, all these departments should be incurring the actual cost of, I'm not talking about what the village pays and what the individuals pay in the payroll. It tells you right here, like Joe
Yeah,
should be
but on
filing.
the, flip to the front page, that's next page. The $1.20 is that is of that $6.13. So there's the employer contribution of one.
Then it should be even more. If you added.
But the one time the wage premium is already being taken out as part of payroll.
I understand that, but there's a cost to the village.
And that's being taken care of in payroll.
But how does it show in the budget?
It's being divvied in payroll.
So, well then maybe if you show me a report, because then when we go to budget, you're saying that this amount is in the budget portion of it?
Yeah, so there's the line item for life insurance in the budget. And when you go to payroll, just like Social Security and FICA and WRS, the life insurance for the village portion is also being taken out.
Well, I'll look at your report, and then who verified the building inspector? Who looked at all these? Make
Usually
sure
Linda or Sue goes through those.
Linda did not.
Nobody
Nobody's checked these. Nobody's verified that. You know, on the $13,000, there's no verification.
That I always look for when I go through it at home. I print off just that
I mean,
first sheet.
that's always been checked and double checked, and nothing's,
The new system does it.
and these can't be in accounts payable. The payroll tax,
Check register. You just print it
They're payables, but they're being paid out of the accounts.
that's a violation. The ordinance says ACH payments they're not accounts payable. ACH payments are done, all the ordinance indicates. There's a report that's done when we haven't, we're so far behind on finances, but every month when you do a reconciliation, there's a report that has all the ACH transactions. They don't go in.
Okay, I mean, we'll pull it out for the next ones.
So the other thing is the building inspector, that hasn't been that $13,000 has not been verified by anybody. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but we always check the building permits. None of that's been checked. I don't know what you want to do. I mean, there's no verification that, they always check each permit to make sure that it comes up to the gross amount, and then Vince gets I mean, I would have no problem paying it, but I would want to see the verification that somebody checked it in the system.
Besides Vince?
Yeah, Vince will take, Vince
Vince is the one who submitted it all.
and they're usually, and that's if there is an issue, that's where they catch it, where Vince says, hey, here, and they say, so that I wouldn't, I'd approve that with contingent that we see the verification. Because in the software, when they put the amounts of the permits in there, God, I hope they put it by the permit number, and they can see what's the gross amount. That's another thing, and the POMS one, that's not part of this bill, the accounts payable, is it? The POMS bill that was in the packet?
If it was in the packet, then it was part of the payment, or part of the bills.
On page 74, there's a 28-cent tax on Spectrum.
Yep, I saw that. I made a note.
So I don't know what you guys wanna do. Thompson's been in there. And then he's gonna bring these back, because these are all ACH payments.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you approve the bills as presented, you'd have to take off the 11,280.16, because those are ACH payments, and the board approves ACH payments separately. It's not part of accounts payable per our ordinance.
But-
I mean,
But the other issues can be cleaned up then, if we approve it?
yeah, the only,
Based on these other things?
I don't know what to do about that one that somebody, well, I'm sure Joe, you can call the company, I'm sure they can, I'm sure Monroe would send an invoice over. If Joe says we have a credit, I'm sure the company, I mean, it would be contingent on, I mean, I would approve these bills contingent that the documentation the board needs be provided. I'd even approve that, that Napa, but I am gonna call them, oh, that's ridiculous.
Somebody needs to.
You know, because, I mean, Brad's gotta pay the bills, but there's a lot of things that need to be checked.
Yeah, NAPA can't improve their
Billing,
billing process, I think we quit using NAPA. There's plenty of other auto parts stores around.
well, I saw that they use O'Reilly.
It's different stuff than it is for us.
Well, and I'm sure if Brad doesn't, I will call Spectrum. They should refund that and not charge a tax on anything. I'm sure they will refund it, but,
There's $1.60 in there, but you go back later, it's for a fee. There's a fee for $1.60.
oh,
So
and
it's listed as taxes,
and I don't-
fees, and charges, but the $1.60 is later, and it says it's a franchise fee.
and Terry found a couple things on the last AP, so he's got a running list of who owes us what. I mean, it's not a lot, but at least he's got a list too, and I have mine, so. I mean, for the sake of discussion, I'd make a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $103,565.60 as, taking out the 11,280.16 of, those payroll things.
Second.
With the condition that, all the documentation needed by the board be provided before they mail the check. Trustee Swanee, you second the motion? Discussion from the board?
I think of the documentation, and just in our email.
Yeah, it is.
That would be good.
Brad, you wouldn't have any problem doing that, would you?
No.
And then if they sign off on the front page of the building inspector, that's good enough for me. If somebody signed off that,
That's right. In fact, there were some other receipts in there that were signed off by the department head.
oh, that's a big no.
Going forward, it seems like each month these APs are a mess. It takes a lot of time to go through and make sure things are matching up. I think we need to have a discussion on how you can either streamline this process or what makes it easier for Brad or what, I mean,
Oh, see, all in favor of motion. Brad, I'm sorry, Jim, I'm sorry.
No, I
did you-
was just agreeing with, what's his name down there? Jeff.
You know,
That guy down that way.
the other thing, since we're still in
Senior
discussion, that, NASCO, Brad, I wouldn't, if they charge us $20 to bring that toilet paper out, I would
Yeah.
order from Amazon.
Amazon
I
or-
wouldn't order anything from NASCO anymore. That, they charge, did you see that $20?
I did.
Besides, I thought baloney.
I was gonna say, I think we should do a lot more online ordering, because
I know Sue
the
does
price for
this a
windshield
lot.
wipers,
Yeah.
even from O'Reilly, I was like, oh, that's not
Yeah.
pricey.
I'm
gotta go to
sorry.
Costco once a month.
Walmart, I mean, there's
Menards.
out there too.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what that Costco one was all about, what it was for. Receipt showed the amount, but it didn't tell me what it was for.
Well, and I'm a big fan of online shopping. If we could just get a little foresight, we don't have our people wasting time driving out to O'Reilly, driving back, and,
Right.
it's different if there's a part that it's like, well, we don't know if this is the part or not, windshield wipers is a pretty easy one.
Well,
You plug in the vehicle and it says, this is what fits,
And I know,
What's
Brad
nice
said,
about Muskego, you got AutoZone, O'Reilly, Napa, and Bumper to Bumper,
Right.
all within a
Yeah.
2-mile circle.
and I know Brett said he was gonna call, the new company, and I know it's, because my husband used to use Airmark, and they're having a huge conversion issue too, but, we've never been that late with,
No, it's been driver related. They got a new driver and they weren't leaving like I think Karen said, the invoice is with us, so that's where you don't get them, you can't pay them.
Right. And everything is digital now, so that, you know, well. So, further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Shoot. We are, I'm sorry, I'm signing here. We are on minutes.
Any other things for the finance, the voiding of checks?
Oh, yeah. Gentlemen, we're trying to get, I know Brad's been giving you information. I'm sorry, Brad, thanks for catching that. We wanted to have permission to void check number 70395, 7056526, and a journal entry correction to balance out January of 2023, and hopefully it'll be moving fast, because Terry's anxious to get into workforce, and I know, Brad, you have training set up for him shortly also, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So is there a motion? I'll make a motion to void check number 70395 and 70526, and the journal entry, Brad, what is, I gotta find that. That is for,
I'm blanking, I'm sorry.
I know we have the school check for, Big Ben, the crossing guard. There was a check
yes.
for me and a check for the,
For the crossing.
Right.
And that's what I believe these were for. Let me check the email.
did you put that in the board packet?
I can send, if I didn't, I will add it.
Oh, here. The one check for $213.48 was for a check that was, it was done incorrectly. It was done, it's a long, old check for me for $213.48. And, the Big Ben crossing guard for $3,131.24.
And the journal entry is just a 60-cent correction.
Yeah, 60-cent correction. So that would be my motion, is to void those two checks and make the journal entry for 60 cents.
Second.
Is there a discussion on the motion? I'm sleeping. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, and then approval, we'll do those ACH as soon as they're ready. January 4th minutes.
One in the packet has the word detached misspelled.
Okay.
I think in that first paragraph, it doesn't have the DE.
I sent a whole bunch of changes. Did you see them?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I only got to that part. I did read the whole thing. That's one part I remember.
Whatever you guys want to do.
Well, I'd make a motion to approve it with corrections. I don't know if you, that's the only correction I particularly knew of on that first one.
Spelling?
Mm-hmm.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we're in discussion. So is that the only correction you're making?
Yeah, that's all I'm making.
I don't know what you guys want to do, Jennifer.
On January 4th, I wasn't there.
Yeah, I took you out. You were in there, and that's one of the corrections I made, that's in the minutes, it shows that he's there.
I was just wondering too, in all our minutes, it says we've approved minutes, but we haven't been approving any minutes, it seems like.
The one, I think I went back through and there was some there wasn't, and there's some there was, but they were, they seemed to be pretty I felt they were accurate. I mean, I know that it seems like we haven't been, but there was.
But it says, well, yeah, we approved the minutes, but in reality, we never approved them to another meeting or something, you know, it's just.
I took out an adjournment that I voted against the motion. Because it said it was voted unanimously, and it said, the President Chu voted against the motion. So I took that out. And I took out Jeff because you were on vacation, because it listed you as voting, but you weren't at that meeting.
Yeah, that's pretty good, able to go and not be there.
But I don't know, do you mind putting those corrections in?
No, I just had that one.
Further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Abstain.
Oh, and Jeff abstained, Brad. On, let's see, this is, the next one is January 18th. The amount was wrong, it's 102.3 million, renovation to all elementary schools for K-4 classes, and build a new middle school. It says, and demolish, and it says it right in C, but in the motion, I corrected the amount. What else did I do? In my announcement, I changed where it said the previous board. It was talking about that MS4 thing. I just changed that, indicating the previous board tried to have a meeting last October to inform residents about their responsibilities. That's all I had. I'd make a motion to approve.
Well, the minutes things too, is like we're approving January 4th minutes at that meeting, we just approved them tonight.
Well, I put on there no action was taken on these items. On my changes? Yeah, that, I put no action was taken on this item.
Here.
January 10th, that was approved, but January 4th, I added, no action was taken on these minutes, and I spelled it wrong. I spelled minutes wrong, because that one was not approved, but I make a motion to approve those with those changes.
A second.
And under manual checks, I did indicate they, because it's $5 million, I just indicate for tax settlement, so people didn't think we all got big raises. Further discussion, Jeff, you see anything else?
No, I don't.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. February 1st.
What about January 25?
That wasn't in the packet.
Yeah, we're waiting on, we're close on.
The last one we have is, February 1st. And the only thing I found, was that, we made a motion for the manual checks. We did do that. But I changed where it said there was no manual checks. And I put in there, I think we should just list what the 50,000, remember we paid, they were in the packet. It was last.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would just name what they were. What we approved for the 50,000.
Oh, what type, like they were?
Yeah, that's the only thing, because in one part it says there were no manual checks, but we did do manual checks. And I put no action on all those board items, that's the only check.
Well, no, for all the village board minutes, we got 4 dates on there that we approved, and we're approving them tonight.
I added no action.
Okay.
On each one of those, I added, Fred, no action was taken
Yeah.
on this item. The ones that I emailed you, I just updated those. So I did add that, Jeff.
And those are now, in the, if you look at the packet online, they're in there, with Karen's changes.
But I think,
I'm in the packet in the line, if they're not on there.
Refresh it.
They'll be the last, they'll be at the way,
and there's
they'll
a
be
big-
at the way end.
Look on the way end.
Start at the back and you'll see the minutes.
Is there any more discussion?
Outside of that.
Do we have a motion on that, Jeff?
No, not on that
I'll
one.
make a motion to approve with the, changes made by the village board.
I'll second.
Discussion? I'm sorry, gentlemen. All in that, no discussion, all in favor, motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So guys, look for, entertain a motion to adjourn?
What about these last four?
They're all really close. I think actually now I think about the 19th and the 22nd are actually done. I didn't attach them, and I know the 15th
Oh,
are
okay.
Yeah,
right
we-
there. So those will be on the next, a lot of these will be on the next
I
one.
thought this list was longer than what I read today.
Yeah.
I don't know which one.
Yeah, because I think you had the 19th and the 22nd done. They're just not, I didn't put them in the packet for some reason.
Oh, yeah, and I just wanted to announce that, the board's meeting at 1 o'clock on the 25th.
That's what I was questioning.
1 PM I listened to the tape, and then we have our board meetings April 4th, that's Jim's last board meeting, and the 18th is for the new board, and April 10th is Jim's last planning commission village board meeting.
Oh.
And then we have April 11th, the public hearing for the application for the Vernon Sexual Residency Board, it's at 6:30. And sometime the board, we have to get a date in May for the board to for open book, no board of review, but we are going to adjourn to June 11th. I did get that date from the assessor for board of review.
What time we meet on the 25th?
1 o'clock?
We haven't, yeah, it's 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, because you said afternoons,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, open book is June 11th for the residents. So anybody that wants to come, as soon as the rolls, did you hear anything on the rolls yet?
I'm not, I had a pre-meeting with her like last week or the week before. She didn't say, they have all the building permits, they have everything, so she didn't say anything like, hey, we need this or need that, so.
I talked to Candy and they were working on them in January. I'll call Candy tomorrow to see.
Yeah, I haven't heard
The
any,
county will give the tax rolls to the,
to them, yeah, I haven't heard anything, so the assessor didn't say anything to me, and I haven't heard anything from Candy except for when she said tax exempt list last month at this time.
and then Brett, if you could get, I mean, I know we have long time, but if you could get that open book date out, just so people know, you know, that if they want to talk to the assessor, that's the best time to do it.
If I remember right, you buy the pizza, right?
I buy the pizza. Oh, so I have a motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'll oppose. We're, gentlemen, we're adjourned. That was a fun meeting, guys.
Yeah, that was one of our longest ones.
I know. What time is it? Holy cow, it's 8 o'clock. Pizza's cold.
Can I print that check real quick and get you guys to sign it?
Oh, yeah, I'll sign. Jim, you get time to...
Yeah, sure.
Let me, we'll put it in the printer.
And I'm gonna, like I said, Brad, I'm gonna sign all these and
We'll hold, I'll hold
I know...
Highline, Monroe,
And...
Napa, I'll hold.
Do you want me to do a better affidavit for Glenn and Mary Feber?
I'll look at it and call, let me stop this first before I see anything.
Yeah,